This is Luke Kinetic, and you're in the arena with leaders and citizens who take character based action. In the Arena is a proud member of the Democracy Group Podcast Network. For more information, visit democracygroup.org. I'm thrilled to be in the arena with Ledyani Simarmata. She's from Indonesia, has been a McCain Institute Next Generation leader, and of course, continue to be a McCain Institute Next Generation leader. Her specialty has been corporate communications is what I think about it. I'll let you kind of clarify that. But for a pretty unique operation, one of the largest mining operations in the whole world that's tied to the government and tied to things that you'd like to change and transform. So how did you go from corporate communications tied to mining to the McCain Institute and what you're up to now?
Yeah, thank you, Luke. To explain that, probably we have to, look back a bit more to the back in my professional journey. I started my professional career actually as a journalist. I used to work in Indonesia, it's one of Indonesia's nationwide television station. I used to be a news reporter, news anchor, cover a variety of topics, and I used to work as a communications consultant. Before I joining mining industry. And you're right, Freeport Indonesia, the mining company that I work for, is one of the largest mining operations in the country, or if it's not in the world. And it is also one of the highly visible companies in the country. So as a communications consultant, as a communications practitioner, it is always a attractive area to be involved when you work into managing reputation or managing issues for a highly visible company. And that's what brought me into Freeport as an institution. And mining itself, I think when people talk about mining, when they think about mining operations, you hear different kinds of, opinions about it. There are some people who think, they right away say that it is essential for civilizations, which it is. We use mining products, or computers, laptops, and lots of other things. But there are also people who have perhaps questions about is mining good? Is mining operation can be done in a good, responsible way? Stuff like that. So that, to me, as a communications practitioner, is important problem to deal with, and plus when you work in a sizable operation, a highly visible company, you deal with all kinds of stakeholders. You get to learn the reality of dealing with multiple stakeholders in the central government, local government. You deal with the reality of the degree of problems that probably not always understood by general public, the complication of the operations, and how important it is that all of us, should want mining to be sustainable because we all use mining products. I think what people like to see, what people like to know is, mining that is good, mining that is responsible, and there is good mining practice, and that to me, all the combination of that, brought my interest, to this industry.
I mean, it kind of, I need to I've learned I need to learn a lot more about Indonesia and pay more attention to Indonesia. Not that I've ignored Indonesia, but you think about that, 267 million people in Indonesia, right?
Yes, about that number.
And these mines you're talking about, I get, extractive industries. I think people are right to want to scrutinize and question extractive industries. But you think about the enterprise and running that enterprise. I've had the chance to visit the Cullinan diamond mine in South Africa. I was just blown away about what it takes to run it as an enterprise.
Oh, yeah.
And then talking about these, when we say the largest gold mine, and I think the second largest copper mine. So while I understand people can rightly, want to know and question and scrutinize extractive industries in mining, and there's history there. Nobody's saying that gold should go away, and nobody's saying that copper should go away. So this is the kind of places it's going to come from, the largest gold mine and the second largest copper mine. So you're focused on a very specific aspect of it because it produces a lot of, I think of it as kind of waste and after product. I believe it's called tailings. And you're saying a lot of things can happen with these tailings, and that's a focus of yours, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, well, that will be, I would think, a good entry point, to do my project. The whole idea that I have is that, sustainability in mining practice is something that is important for everybody, for mining company, for the stakeholders, and we should enforce better collaboration among this network of stakeholders in the mining industry. And one of the I would say, top public concerns is about environmental impact of mining operations. And I think this is not particularly unique, maybe for Indonesia, maybe in other places too. That is our society gradually more concerned about environmental impact of any economic activity. So I think through that entry point to talk about how we can, discuss and collaborate in the area of environmental management of mining operation with better collaboration among the stakeholders. I think it's good for everybody who's involved in that. Good for mining company, good for the regulators, good for the community, and as a communication practitioner myself, and this is me speaking as a professional, I think it is better when you do communications outreach or effort or engagement when there is a good level of trust among the stakeholders. I think it's always better. It is not just you, an institution or a person, let's say, forwarding your perspective, but there's a good level of trust among the stakeholders when you try to do your corporate communications effort. And that's how got into that particular.
Yeah, and you've done something very interesting to me. So you said, okay, I want to go to a program built and centered around character-driven leadership, right? That doesn't strike me as what a mining operation or even a government would say, a great communicator about mining. I can see them saying, go get smarter about business, go get smarter about a bunch of things. But your bosses and you yourself have said, I'm going to go get smarter about how to do this in a character-driven way. So tell me more about that.
Well, I think we can lead from any place that we are. That's what I believe. We can lead from anywhere. I'm like many of my friends, if not almost all, in my cohort, we are in a mid-career stage of our journey. And I think when I see them, they are impressive people. As you probably talk to them, they want to make the world a better place, start from their home environments. And some of them, young, just by age, young. And they do all kinds of interesting things. They do all kinds of creative projects. So I believe, we can lead from any place, any stage in our career, in our life, in our journey. But it takes a character to do it. It takes a courage to do it. It takes a confidence to do it. Like in my case, I'm in a mid-level management in the institution that I work for. In my company, I have subordinates, I have superiors. When I look at people who I manage, let's say, they can lead too. They can be leader exactly from where they are. But again, yes, you have to have a good practical skills, of course, to do your job. You have to understand your work. But I understand it's also important to have that mentality, that mental state, to unlock ideas, innovations that might be useful. And again, character-driven leadership is an important component to unlock those potential in young leaders or next generation leaders. A lot of people probably when they want to proceed with new ideas or innovation, then they sometimes think, they wonder, am I good enough to do it? Or is my idea brilliant enough? or am I already in a position that, okay, I have a good enough credential, to say, hey, I have an idea. There's a lot of mental factor in this, in my opinion, when you see a good leader, and I've seen this in leaders that I've met too during my journey in the States. Yes, they have all professional credential, but there's something that makes them unique, that makes them special, is how they put forward their calling, their passion, their purpose, and their confidence into the arena. And this is abstract, maybe not something that you can just sort of read from textbook. This is abstract, but this is important. This is what makes us drawn into somebody's idea, that makes us drawn into somebody's mission, and that's what I appreciate from this program, because it's not just about being, leader as in being the top, being the boss, but this is about being a good leader. This is being a human being that is also a good leader. And I think everybody should dive into that when they're thinking about leadership. They should look into that aspect when they want to build leaders. They should look into that aspect, that whole mental mind, character aspect of a leader. I think that's important.
Well, you're showing it. You're doing it. Another, something that's not abstract about leaders is leaders have to make decisions and tough decisions when you're running an enterprise like largest mining thing around. You're going to go back and give counsel to leaders and be a leader yourself and have to make decisions. So I guess that's part of why we teamed you up at Arizona State University's Decision Theater for your placement, place where data visualization and data science and putting together what it takes to come to decisions for progress. So talk a little bit about what you learned, or maybe more important, what you're taking away from spending time at the Decision Theater.
Well, when I wrote my leadership action plan, my mind is that, how we can use our ability to gather big data and process big data and to help us making better decisions. I know this approach has been implemented probably in either in different aspects of the business, including in mining business as well. But how do I do that? In the business of stakeholder engagement, in the business of a managing relationship among stakeholders, in the business of policy making or policy conversations. That's the idea that I had, because we now can do that. This is something that probably, because I'm not actually a computer scientist, but I imagine 10, 20 years from now, it is a different world compared to what we're able to do now. So how we can use this? And then the institute that put me into Decision Theater, and in my experience, this is the first time I encounter an institution that exactly do that in a sophisticated way in a big university. So when I arrived, I thought, oh wow, this is like realization of what I've been thinking, and even more than I've been thinking, because this is a very capable, I would call research enterprise, but sometimes I see it as like a consulting firm. Like it has a specific skills, it has a specific ability, and it can be used for private, for public sectors. So my takeaway from this theater is that I'm thankful for that experience, because I'm seeing exactly what I imagined could be, but when I arrived there, I'm seeing that how it can be done and how it is done, and what expertise that is necessary, what infrastructure that is necessary, and what are the challenges, because I've sat in several meetings, a lot of meetings with the users of the service or the clients or stakeholders, how the discussion went on. That is very important to observe, how these multiple stakeholders, when they look at this data, when they look at these models, all of them look at the same screen, what is their reaction, and how they see that. And that is important, because when you do something like that, you deal with the people, basically. You deal with changing or innovating how people make decisions. And that's tied to habit, to culture, to bureaucracy, to how people used to make decisions in the past. So you're actually changing the way they see things. And this is not as simple as it sounds, because people that have done certain things for a long time, they may act or react differently towards a new way to make decisions. And we make decisions all the time, right? This is a very crucial part of being a good policymakers or business executive or being a lawmakers or administrator. So sitting in those meetings and just absorb the conversations and the tone and the direction, to me, gave me it's like a good preview, or this might happen in my situation too. This might happen, when we try to do it in a different place. I understand it's a different country, it's a different culture, but just how human beings react to a new way, to make decisions.
Yeah, I mean, it's fascinating to me. I think we all recognize there could be drama associated with decisions and big decisions, but when you have things visualized, you can kind of turn the dials and you're driving it right there with the right people around the table, or piped in from afar, so to speak. It's very powerful. I guess sometimes in government it happens more with policy papers and things that float around, and that gets tricky for communicators like us sometimes, right? We kind of we receive a decision, but we're like, okay, but to see how it was arrived at and arriving at it with a data-driven way is pretty powerful. So I'm a bit envious of you, I guess, is all I'm really trying to say there. I get to spend a little time around our decision theater in Washington, but not the way you have. I need to go spend some more time in the theater. Well, as we kind of wrap up here, you can pick up on any or all of this. I'm curious if you had kind of a unique experience or observation or engagement in the U.S. you would like to share. I'd really love you to take a shot at telling folks like me, something they ought to pay attention more about Indonesia or know more about Indonesia. And then I don't know if you want to comment a little bit on the U.S.-Indonesia relationship, or any of that you'd like to talk about.
Well, first of all, just talk about the current situation. We are in the middle of a pandemic. When I left Indonesia in September, I had not, and nobody probably had not imagined that, we will be entering, pandemic. And, I'm in the States, I'm in the US, that pretty much, dealing with this, in a very challenging way. And I got to observe that, this is not a, happy moment for anybody. This is a difficult time. But when I think of that, in the midst of, this is such a hard time and so forth. But when I look into that, I'm in the States, where I can observe, how local leaders, state leaders, top leaders in the country deal with this. And this is, I think, this is good. Not good as in, of course, the situation is bad, but right. As a leadership lesson, this is good, because this is probably one of the biggest crises that probably, we've dealt, and I hope we will not, have to deal with this amount of crisis. Nobody wants, but this is a real life situation where decisions making is very crucial. And when you make a decision, things can go in different directions. Depends how good you are in making decisions. And I think I've learned that, and not in the spirit of criticizing the leaders, but I think this is time to learn for me, to see how people react, how leaders react, and what is the response to their reaction, because public also react to their decisions and how.
Oh yeah, the information environment nowadays, right? You get responses, that's for sure.
Yeah, and then how you see also more and more people aware that data-driven decision making is important, particularly in a crisis, where things can go several different directions, when we sort of have to, in this case, we sort of in a race with the problem, in a race with the virus, and how data-driven decision-making is important. And when we see more leaders, when they talk, they always go back to, okay, I have to check on data. What the data says? I'm following the data. The data become something that is crucial element of making decisions, because there's no precedent, there's no sort of previous playbook, exact playbook how to do it. So and you see, you also can see the quality of decision that leaders make. So that to me, yes, it's a difficult time, and for everyone else it's a difficult time. But being in the States as well in this time, I think as somebody who in the journey of learning to become a better leader, there's a lot of lessons, that I take, and I think it will leave impression, or it will leave an impact for me for a probably very long time. And plus, with all the training and all the lessons and all the examples that the McCain Institute have helped us to see, we sort of connect the dots now. Okay, now this is how it is important in the real life, when you are dealing with complex problems. And of course, as an Indonesian, I would like to, talk about my country. My country is the fourth largest country in the world. I'm a proud Indonesian, and I'm here also because of the support of the company that I work for. So I guess I'm thankful, for the chance, to be here. I'm sure I'm going to go back to Indonesia with a lot of insights. There are several things that also I observe about American society that I think can be a good insight to take home, like the spirit of voluntarism, particularly in this crisis too. You see the spirit of just civic activity, civic engagement, or ideas or initiative that comes from the people. I think that is something that I admire when I look into the society in the States. So yeah, that will be my impression.
Well, Ledy, it's been an absolute honor. We want to keep up with your work, and I guess we'll follow the data and decisions that you help inspire in your country. My sense is they're going to be very substantial, and you're going to pull a lot together. Thank you very much for being on, and stay safe.
Thank you very much, Luke. Nice talking to you. Thank you for having me.
This podcast is produced by Patrick McCann and Justin Kessler. If you like what you hear, please subscribe, tell your friends, or leave a review.